Best thing that's ever happened to you financially. Go.
Easy. Sold my car on Carvana. Amazing offer.
Really? I hit 200 on a scratcher.
Did the scratcher come to your house and hand you a check?
No.
How many scratchers did you hit to get that? I hit a button on Carvana.com once.
Okay, that's fair.
It's like the lottery, except you always win.
Not like the lottery at all, actually.
Exactly. Inexplicably good. Offers worth bragging about. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
This episode is brought to you by Workday. Workday is the enterprise AI platform for HR, finance, and IT with a deep understanding of your organization's context and guardrails, giving you accuracy to not just get work done, but get it done right. It's a new Workday.
The biggest moments in sports are streaming live on Fox One. From MLB to NFL, Big Noon Saturdays, and so much more. Fox One brings you the games, rivalries, and can't-miss moments all season long. And it doesn't stop at the final whistle. Catch highlights, expert analysis, interviews, and the stories behind the biggest moments in sports. Watch live or on demand, at home or on the go. Stream Fox Sports on Fox One. Download the app today.
I'm not giving up. I am selling the building.
The final season of FX's The Bear.
The restaurant is flooded.
Everything's either going to be okay.
No, stop.
Or not.
We are outgunned and we are outmanned, but we have each other.
FX's The Bear, the final season. All episodes now streaming on Disney+.
The comments made by Amin Elhassan are made by him and him himself and nobody else, and not indicative of Basketball Illuminati, Tom Haberstroh, Anthony Mays, or any guest incorporated.
Hey, Amin.
Hey, Tom.
Do you have a nickname? Sorry, my voice is shot from the weekend.
No, you say the weekend. Is that you went to concert, or you mean the Saturday and Sunday that just passed?
Saturday and Sunday.
Didn't know if you were karaokeing some weekend songs. So.
Yeah. I mean, do you have any nicknames that your buddies have for you that we wouldn't know about?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
I guess he wants to keep us not knowing about it, Tom.
It's interesting.
You ask me a yes or no question, I'll give you a yes or no answer.
I mean, what is a nickname that your friends have for you that we don't know about?
Let's keep that one under wraps for now.
Well, I only ask because we learned through this bit of news that happened in the NBA last week that scary Terry Rozier is actually not what his buddies call him.
No.
It's chum.
Chum. There's a whole category of NBA nicknames that are not the actual nickname that the person goes by. So, for instance, you know Allen Iverson's nickname?
The answer?
Not any of the marketing ones. The actual friends of Allen Iverson call him.
Not AI.
Bubba Chuck, or Chuck for short.
Oh, I like that.
To the point of Terry Rozier, the name Chum. How do you think he got that nickname? I'd love to know.
Well, I think we can rule out old buddy, old guy, old chum.
So you don't think it's that?
I don't think it's that.
Because I was thinking about, is it chum like, you know, the British word for pal, basically?
It feels too old-timey British.
Yeah.
For Terry Rozier. Bait? Like fishing?
Chum that I know of is, fishing bait.
Yeah.
I could get there. That's where I think maybe it is. Maybe he likes to fish. His friends like to fish. Or maybe his handle on the court or something lures people in.
Chum in the water.
And then he turns into the shark. But I don't know. Chum.
Well, we learn about this because in the Terry Rozier case, the whole gambling story that we've been all reporting on for Pablo Torre Finds Out for the last year or so with Malik Beasley and then Terry Rozier.
Mm-hmm.
There was that March 23rd game of 2023 in which Terry Rozier was playing for the Charlotte Hornets and left early with a foot injury, was not on the injury report. And what we learned later is that there was betting activity, bit of outlier gambling activity on that game, betting on his unders, Terry Rozier's unders. And then we later find out that this was part of that allegedly same kind of Jonte Porter betting group.
Mm-hmm.
They were in on this with Terry Rozier, and an associate of Terry Rozier, De Niro Laster, who used to play football at Kentucky, allegedly told someone on that group text on that March 23rd game, don't tell chum about the bet.
To which the unidentified recipient responded with, hell nah.
So if you didn't know, this is what's interesting, is if you didn't know what Terry Rozier's nickname was, and you do these searches, like if you get the whole log of Terry Rozier's phone and you search bet or gambling, parlay, whatever it is that the feds might want to look through your text messages, you might see bet in there. Don't tell chum about the bet. But if you don't know what Terry Rozier's nickname is, that might not actually sound any alarms.
It is crazy to think that even if they saw that message particularly, how would they know that it refers specifically to Terry Rozier? Because the first thing I thought, I was like, this is in discovery. Meaning the government had to have seen it. So why would this have, is it clumsiness? Is it laziness? Do you think it's immaterial? Do you think there is a preponderance of other evidence that renders that particular text moot? I don't know. But I do know this. Certainly seems like the brightest ray of light that Terry Rozier has had since this whole thing started. This whole investigation got public. The first ray of hope of, oh, wait a second, maybe I had nothing to do with this.
How do you prove your nickname? Are there other text messages that are obviously referring to Terry Rozier?
Yeah.
In which he is called chum?
There has to be, right? That's the only way this works.
The lawyer for Terry Rozier wrote, one does not hide a bet from the person who supposedly sold it. And this should end the case, is basically what the lawyers for Terry Rozier is arguing. Is if you have a guy who's the co-conspirator saying, don't tell Terry Rozier about this bet that we're placing on him on the unders, then that would seemingly exonerate Terry Rozier from conspiring and being in cahoots with that bet. And according to ESPN's reporting from David Purdom, the government has not responded to this lawyer's comments. A spokesperson for the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York declined comment. Now, Terry Rozier is a free agent right now, as is Malik Beasley. So theoretically, if Terry Rozier is cleared of the charges, he conceivably could rejoin the NBA. But I don't even know if teams would even touch that at this point.
It's funny. I thought of an obstacle to Maze's question, which is, how do you prove what your nickname is? You would find other text messages that address you as such, and you would want also people to testify that, yeah, his nickname is Chum. Unfortunately, a lot of the people who would testify to that are people who flipped on him and ratted him out. We got plea deals from Laster, from Sugar Shane Hennon, various other people who are implicated in this plot. They're all flipping state's witness on him to get lighter sentencing on the things that they're getting caught on. So it's like the people who would be like, yeah, we call him Chum, are like, I don't know what you're talking about. Never called him Chum a day in my life.
What does chum mean? Isn't that bait for fish? Why would we call him that?
Like a pal in old-timey England?
Yeah, so Terry Rozier is claiming innocence. He hasn't pled guilty. He's fighting this. And this text message doesn't look good for the government. The idea that he didn't know about this bet at all, even though there was proceedings afterwards. Danilo Laster had allegedly picked up a bag of cash at Rozier's house. Mm-hmm. That was payment, allegedly, for orchestrating this bet. So the thing is, Terry Rozier at the time was playing on a losing team, a veteran player, and conceivably, anytime a veteran player has a hurt foot or an ankle or a knee, feels something twinge in his knee, he's going to err on the side of caution and be like, look, guys, we're 30 games out of the playoffs. I'm out.
This is the crux of a lot of these cases, even though it's technically a different case, similar to what Chauncey Billups is facing, similar to a lot of these so-called insider information trading scenarios, which is a lot of this could be idle conversation. I'm going to try to give it a go tonight. And if I'm not feeling it, then I'm going to call it tonight. I could see an NBA player talking like that casually. And of course, this can be construed as gambling insights, but no one's thinking about, hey, I got a hot tip for you. That's the way we all think about it. But a lot of these things can come from very casual conversations. Same thing with Chauncey. Oh, he tipped off that so-and-so and so-and-so wouldn't be playing. That's not that hard, man. Front office wants to shut it down because we're playing with ping pong balls now. That's a casual conversation that a coach might say at dinner. But at the same time, if I'm a gambler, degenerate gambler, I'm like, oh, Dame's not playing tonight. Cool. Bet the unders or whatever. So there's an argument there I guess my thing would be, I find it hard to believe that one text message, if the federal government's whole case is undone by one text, that means the argument was pretty flimsy to start with. Highly circumstantial.
Yeah, I don't think I can agree with the lawyers saying this should end the case, because the text was sent on March 29th and the game in question was on March 23rd. And also, it's alleged that there were multiple bets placed on Terry Rozier.
Good point.
So don't tell him about this bet to one person does not mean don't tell him about any of the bets.
Any bets, yeah.
By other people.
Well, he didn't play. He was shut down for the season after that. So it's not like any games after that or any bets.
I'm only talking about the March 23rd game.
Yeah.
There were alleged to be multiple bets placed on that game. And also in the May 28th update, it was alleged that Terry Rozier agreed to take a discount on his bribe because he got 4 rebounds, which caused some of the bets to lose.
So how do you reconcile that, right?
It's a nice step for Terry Rozier, but I do not think it is decisive.
Yeah, like what bet are they referring to would be the follow-up. How do we know it is the bet?
Maybe it's a side bet beyond the ones that he already knew about.
What if it means nickname is Chum and he just didn't want to?
And that's me they were texting about.
Don't tell Amin.
Yeah, because he works with Pablo.
That'd be great.
Don't tell him.
My assignment: uncover why the association inspires more conspiracy theories in volume and salience than any other U.S. sport.
You've heard of the Illuminati.
The truth is out there, but so are lies.
Your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them.
The NBA has always been controlled by about 8 people.
Denial is the most predictable of all human responses.
If you're only using 10% of your brain, you don't even know that you're using 10% of your brain.
The NBA Illuminati.
If coincidences are just coincidences, why do they feel so contrived?
The Illuminati.
But you start to follow the money, and you don't know where the f*** it's going to take you.
It is unspoken. They have influence among other players.
The NBA Illuminati.
I don't have time for your convenient ignorance.
Maybe I'm a conspiracist now as well.
That's all it took. Oh, we got books, we got schools. You saw a video on YouTube.
Why am I eyes, sir? You've never used them before.
We are the Basketball Illuminati.
This is Basketball Illuminati. I am Dr. Tom Haberstroh, not like Dr. Dre, who's got a good voice, rapper, producer, or Doc Rivers, who's got a raspy voice. I feel like I'm catching a little bit of the Doc Rivers-itis here with this voice. So Doc Tom Haberstroh, that's me.
Or you know what? We can update it, man. Let's be modern. You know, Doc's not in the league anymore. He's going in the Hall of Fame. This is it. He's right out in the sunset. Mitch Johnson is now the poster child for that voice.
Wow. He's passed the torch.
Yeah.
It's exciting stuff.
Well, speaking of torches and trophies, I wasn't talking about trophies. Pulitzer Prize winning Amin Elhassan.
Our chum.
Yes. Chum, as my close friends call me.
And Anthony Mays.
What's up, Illumination? Thank you for keeping your third eye open. As always, you can support us at patreon.com/countthedings. That'll get you ad-free episodes and help us continue to produce the show. Also, check out our YouTube page at Basketball Illuminati. You can watch our Truth Teller interviews and Do You Believe episodes there. Please subscribe and continue to show your support. Thank you.
An explosive new report out of an academic journal published about the rising Achilles tears in the NBA and what is the source of such horrible outcomes for these NBA players. What is causing that uptick in Achilles tears? Well, we have one of the professors who co-wrote that study, professor of UCSF orthopedic surgery, Dr. Nirav Pandya, is going to join us on Basketball Illuminati as a truth teller. Going to join us to discuss the findings from his research looking into all of those Achilles tears in the NBA and what led up to them and possibly ways to reduce those Achilles tears going forward. The NBA actually has denied some of those findings. We're going to have Dr. Pandya here shortly to talk about that. But first,
agenda with Amin Elhassan and Tom Haberstroh.
Tom, I don't know if you saw this. Kevin Durant was at a USA basketball event the other day, and he was asked, what do you think about Philly adding LeBron James?
Happy for him. You know, it's a great decision for him to go to a team that got a good chance to win. Philly, a great fan base, great market, so it's great for the league, man. So many eyes that tuned in to his decision. It's only going to help us as a league.
You feel like they're contenders?
For sure. I mean, you don't think so?
No, I'm just asking you.
Last time they put 3 20-point scores on the team, they said it was unfair, which is the team I was on. They got 4 25-point scores on this team. So, hell yeah, I think they're going to be a contender, man. They're going to be a great team to watch. It's going to be league pass worthy, TNT worthy. Man, that's going to be fun to watch. I can't wait to see it.
On its surface, pretty innocent comment. He said, it's going to be great. You got 4 really explosive offensive talents all together. It'll be fun to watch. And he makes a light comparison to those 2016, 2017 Warriors. But I thought the door was open enough and vague enough to just be like, oh, yeah, when you add another big name to a team, of course, expectations, yada, yada, yada. Well, as we know, Kevin Durant, not a guy who's shy about interacting on the internet. And so when that clip was posted,
at Tev Stakes commented on a Bleacher Report post, and Kevin Durant responded, ain't close, LMAO. Joel, MVP recently. Jaylen Brown, recent finals MVP. Tyrese Maxey, all-star the last 3 years. We all know what Braun does. Klay Thompson, never an MVP candidate and nothing. 22 points per game. Draymond, 14 points per game, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. Steph at MVP just like Joel was. I don't get how the Warriors team is better on paper.
To which Klay Thompson responds by posting it, says, hey man, you good? At Easy Money Sniper, what you using my full government for? Question mark, ID emoji. So I know what a lot of people think, like, oh my God, what is he doing? He's taking shots at his former teammates and another Kevin Durant salty thing. And I'm like, no, he's playing chess, folks.
What?
Do you guys remember when LeBron and Bosh went to Miami? Tom, I don't know if you remember that.
Remind me.
Tom, are you involved in that at all?
Yeah.
Possibly. I'm just kind of going through my index in my brain, see if there's any hot hits there.
It's kind of like this. There's a hot topic. Everyone wants to know, what do you think? What do you think the Heat are going to do? And Jeff Van Gundy said the Heat are going to win 75 games. It was some ridiculous number.
75, I think, yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, Jeff, you're being ridiculous. Oh, Jeff, you're overestimating that. And I said, guys, that's not at all what Jeff is doing. That's Jeff giving the subtle fuck you to Pat Riley and the Miami Heat. Said, I'm going to put maximum expectations on you guys so that anything you do, no matter how spectacular, is probably going to come short of, and you're going to be looked at as a failure.
This is out of your buddy's playbook, Shaq's playbook.
Yeah.
Right? Every center that comes through the league, he better average 40 and 20.
Yeah.
Or I think he should average 40 and 20. And then when he doesn't, you can be like, yeah, you're not working hard. You're not good enough.
Not doing it. You should have been doing 40 and 20. At 30 and 15, not good enough.
Not good enough.
Now what you going to do, Mr. Statistician Face Man?
I think there's another level to it as well, Amin.
What's that?
Which is, what was the reaction league-wide when LeBron went to the Sixers?
It was mild amusement, I would say.
But it's not like, oh, this is unfair.
Unfair, yeah.
He's cheating. He's going to a super team.
Right.
And KD, different reaction when he went to the Warriors.
Yeah.
And so this might be like, hey, guys.
Yeah, see?
Look at this. Look what he's doing.
Let's get up in arms.
We scored 20 points a game. They scored 25.
For sure.
This is way more of a super team.
I'm going in a different direction here, guys.
What do you think?
The response that I was thinking about when he said the last time this happened was the Warriors. And I'm like, wait, did we forget about the Nets debacle with KD?
Oh, yeah.
So we had James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant all averaging over 25 points a game.
Yeah.
They joined up. Why isn't KD referring to that example?
Oh, that's a good point.
I thought he was saying last time they did that was us in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And you know how that went. Wait a minute. Not great. Damn it. Let's go back to the Warriors then.
I think there's a double element of one, trying to increase the pressure and the scrutiny on Philadelphia, and two, what Mays is talking about, which is, hey, see, I'm not the only one. We're all in the same party here, trying to get to the same club. It's brilliant.
Man, it's going to be crazy when Steph Curry signs up with them next year.
Don't do that to me, Tom. He can go to Charlotte.
Yeah, that's the only place he's going to go.
That's the only acceptable end of career landing spot.
Oh, reunite with Bob Myers, finally play with LeBron in Philly. He's got a expiring contract this summer. I don't know, just throwing it out there. I mean, of course, it'd be great if Steph Curry came home to Charlotte, no doubt. But I don't think we should close the door on the Philadelphia 76ers next year.
Okay.
Steph Curry. I'm just saying.
Another mercenary for Spike. You'd love it.
Yeah. Spike will find himself actively rooting against it.
That's not the only former Warrior drama from the last week either. Did you guys see Kevon Looney's wedding?
No. What happened at Kevon Looney's wedding?
So here's who we got at Kevon Looney's wedding. Damian Lee.
Okay. Yeah. Former Warrior.
Pods. Brandon Pajemski.
Current Warrior.
Klay Thompson.
Former Warrior.
Andre Iguodala.
Ooh, the whole band.
Former Warrior.
And Jordan Poole.
Wow. Okay. So some notable omissions here.
Who's not there? What gravitational sized black hole is missing from this situation?
When was Kevon Looney's wedding, by the way? When did it take place?
Did you not get the invite? Maze and I got the save the date. We just couldn't make it.
I believe it was Saturday.
Saturday was a big day for NBA weddings, huh? Tyrese Halliburton, Donovan Mitchell, and Kevon Looney all got married on the same day. It's kind of nuts.
That is pretty crazy.
I won't disclose which NBA wedding I went to. That's why my voice is gone, is singing karaoke at the wedding.
The invite roulette, man. What do you do? Which wedding do you go to?
This is a great question. Who do you think is the most invited NBA player to NBA weddings? Is it Ish Smith?
I was going to go with Theo Pinson.
Theo Pinson, okay.
He seems to be everybody's best friend.
It's a good one.
Ish Smith is a good one. Quinn Cook is another good one.
Garrett Temple also got to be in there.
For sure, Garrett Temple.
You need somebody who has a podcast, who maybe played on Team USA. I don't think Journeyman is the way to go for this. I don't think Ish Smith is like a wedding MVP. I think it's got to be somebody who's forged connections off the court.
Those are the journeymen, man. Those are the guys who have been in the league 10 plus years, never with any team more than 1 year or whatever. Those are the Mr. Personalities of the NBA. These are the cool guys you want around the locker room. Mm-hmm. Smith is the kind of guy that's very likable. And when you move around like that, you tend to hold on to those connections. Those guys stay in contact with everybody because they know their next job might depend on, I need a good word, a strong word from player XYZ. So I'm guessing that the most invited NBA player on the wedding circuit is going to be a guy like that, because the bigger the name, the bigger the ego, more likely there might be like, I'm not going to invite that guy. He's a jerk.
Well, Donovan Mitchell had Bam, Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, Jaylen Brown, and then the Cavaliers.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's a pretty good list.
All right, I got one. 2-time NBA champion, Team USA, played for 5 NBA teams. Beloved teammate.
2-time champion and played for 5 teams.
2-time sportsmanship award, so you know he's a good person. Someone you would want to be in your wedding or at your wedding.
Alex Caruso's out. KCP?
No.
And played for Team USA?
Yeah.
Kevin Durant?
Not Kevin Durant. I'll give you another hint. 1 gold at Paris.
All I can remember is KD, Steph, and LeBron. Halliburton hasn't won.
Also 1 gold 2020 in Tokyo.
Drew Holiday.
Drew Holiday.
Drew Holiday probably would get, I would imagine, a lot of invites.
Wouldn't he?
Also, Drew Holiday, kind of type of guy I would believe went on a lot of double dates in his NBA career. Him and his wife.
I feel like Drew Holiday would be top 5 on my all wedding team. Top 5.
Top 5 all wedding team.
You know who I thought might be a good name? Andre Iguodala.
Yep. Head of the MBPA.
Yeah, former head of the MBPA. But I think Andre Iguodala would get some action. Cool guy, smart guy. Like everyone knows he's smart, so they kind of want to pick his brain or whatever.
He's also kind of a business VC world tech guy. So like people want to be friends with him. Business opportunities, potentially friends with benefits, so to speak.
That's what I'm saying.
That's pretty good. So we'll go Ish Smith playing point. Drew Holiday at 2. Iguodala at the 3. Theo Pinson, that's tough.
Backup guard.
Shaq is the center.
No way. No one's inviting Shaq, man.
No one?
No one's inviting Shaq.
Really?
Too many pranks?
Oh.
Too many shenanigans?
Yeah, man. You don't know what Shaq's in. Like, it's a wild card, man. You can't have a wild card on your wedding day, man. You got to keep that as conservative as possible.
What about Charles?
Charles would be great.
Is Charles getting the invite?
These guys, the age range is out.
Yeah.
You know who was at the courthouse with Tyrese Halliburton?
Who's that?
George Niang.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's definitely.
Good pull.
That's a good all-wedding team because that's not even reception, man. That's inner circle.
Did they play together at Iowa State? I don't think so. I think Niang was in the league much longer. Because I remember Halliburton coming out of college. I remember interviewing him. Niang was already in the league, I think.
But they did both go to Iowa State, so that's got to be the connection regardless.
Yeah.
Maybe Brock Purdy made it to Tyrese Halliburton's wedding because they were at Iowa State at the same time.
Well, Tyrese Halliburton's, I mean, judging by his dance moves.
I wonder how he looked out there on the dance floor, yeah.
Pretty good. I wonder if there was a study, if he was included, on dance moves pre-Achilles tear and then post-Achilles tear. That'd be interesting. Or we can just settle for NBA performance.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, fine.
Let's just trust the league on this one.
There's more data on that.
Well, we're going to get our truth teller on the program here to talk about that very thing. Dr. Nirav Pandya from University of California, San Francisco, sports medicine professor, just published a paper on Achilles tears and possible causes. They found a significant correlation regarding a certain thing. And the NBA's response coming up right after this.
Folks, let me tell you, especially when I was younger, banking sucked. Put this amount of money in to open an account, but we're going to take this amount of money every month. And oh, you were 34 cents over. We're going to charge you $35 in overdraft charges, all this stuff. And you're just giving away money to a bank who was supposed to hold your money. Well, not with Chime. Chime is changing the way people bank. They offer the most rewarding fee-free banking. This is fee-free banking built for you, not like traditional old banks that charge you overdraft and monthly fees. They have thousands of fee-free ATMs. Imagine getting your own money out without having to pay. Incredible idea, right? You're not just switching banks. You're upgrading to America's #1 choice for banking with a Chime checking account. You get 5% cash back on Chime Card in a category of choice like gas or groceries. They also have Spot Me, which lets you overdraft up to $200 fee-free. Join the millions who are already banking fee-free today. Head to chime.com/basketball. That is chime.com/basketball. It only takes a few minutes to sign up.
Chime is a fintech, not a bank. Banking services and Chime Card provided by Chime's bank partners. Qualifying direct deposits required. Terms and limits apply. Go to chime.com/disclosures for details.
This episode is brought to you by Workday. Guessing is for game shows, not your business, especially when your margin for error is 0. Workday is the enterprise AI platform for HR, finance, and IT, with a deep understanding of your organization's context and guardrails. So every AI action is permission aware, giving you accuracy 24/7 and the ability to not just get work done, but get it done right. It's a new Workday.
Stream the biggest moments in sports live on Fox One. The biggest names, the biggest games, the biggest matchups. Watch live or catch up on your schedule. At home or on the go, never miss a moment. All on Fox One. Stream now.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. The MLB at Field of Dreams returns. Bryce Harper and the Philadelphia Phillies face Byron Buxton and the Minnesota Twins at the iconic Field of Dreams ballpark. The field is calling. Watch the MLB at Field of Dreams game live on Netflix Thursday, August 13th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific.
You all think I'm late. Well, I'm not late. And I'm going to stay right here and fight for this lost cause, even if this room gets filled with lies like these. And the Taylors and all their armies come marching into this place. Somebody will listen to me.
There's no better way to overpower a trickle of doubt than with a flood of naked truth.
But the complexity and the gray lie not in the truth, but what you do with the truth once you have it.
What is true and right is true and right for all.
You and I both know that that's just not the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Too messy. Keeps them up nights.
I'm here because in the end, the truth is worth the risk.
Speak a little truth and people lose their minds.
I'm a grown man. You can tell me the truth.
Why is it people who want the truth never believe it when they hear it?
So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do something really outrageous. I'm going to tell the truth.
All right, we are here with Dr. Nirav Pandya from the UCSF. He's an orthopedic surgeon. He's a professor. He's also just coming out of the operating room, literally joining us from, it looks like, the operating room or an office?
Random closet where I have Zoom. So there you go.
Okay. What is this machine that I see in the background?
So that's a cast saw. So that is how we take off casts. So it vibrates at a certain level. So yeah, those are 2 cast saws right back there.
Huh. Okay. That's a first for Illuminati. That's pretty cool. So you've had a pretty eventful week. What would you say was more eventful? Publishing a academic research paper that caught the NBA world by storm, that the NBA has now weighed in on their opinion of your work, or going viral on Threads because of a comment about LeBron and then KD jumping in with his own take on it?
Definitely the KD thing. That was, research is research. When I feel, I'm one of KD's people, not on his burner, on the real KD account.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, I reached my epitome. My son, who's 16, thinks I'm like the coolest person in the world now because of that.
Tom, what's crazy is, before we started recording, we were talking about it. And obviously, if you don't know, here's the other thing. You don't know the exchange, but I guarantee you listen to this, you know the KD response. The KD response is every player is either chasing rings, chasing shots, or chasing money, right? And the I'm trying to think, Doc, like, to me, it's to find out, like, oh yeah, remember when Dirty Harry said, "Make my day"? He was saying it to me, actually. Like, that is a wild thing. It's such an iconic. I know it's only been a couple of weeks or whatever, but that is such an iconic sentence. I think this is one that's going to live forever in basketball knowledge. And to sit there and be like, yeah, you know who he's talking to. And he said that, right?
I'll take credit for it. When I'm with my grandkids, I'll be like, remember when KD made that statement about the NBA? That was my threads.
So your point was LeBron going to Miami or Cleveland could have been packaged as a going back to where I played, a reunion narrative. Going to Golden State could have been packaged as a I'm going to play with my buddies narrative. Going to Philadelphia simply looks like title chasing. And someone else responded to that. And then KD jumps in. Yeah. I don't think you were trying to troll and get KD to respond there. Of all things, it would be LeBron might have jumped in there, but not KD. But here he is, and you're a Warriors guy. Yeah. So that must have been wild.
Yeah, I think, and it's based even on his comments today about the 76ers and Clay and all that other stuff. I mean, clearly there is, I think internally as someone he really loves basketball is worried about how he's perceived. And I think it's okay to be like, look, that's my goal. I'm going from team to team to do this. And that's totally fine. I think it's good to be out there and put it out in the open. But I think there are players in the NBA who really, it's about maybe showing loyalty. Maybe it's about, staying with the one team for a while. But I appreciate his honesty. Everyone else kind of sugarcoats. And he's like, this is what I'm in basketball for, which makes sense with his career. Yeah.
Isn't it wild that KD has been this good after his Achilles tear? Like, isn't that pretty remarkable?
Yeah, no, totally. And actually, after that, he responded to the thread. I was like, hey, what do you think about our paper, KD? You're one of the people in it. You're one of the 19. Didn't respond. When KD, he was really the first person, when we're looking at this, that really did come back from an NBA level and came back to a high level. Everyone always talked about Dominique Wilkins as like the epitome. But Dominique was not his dominant leg, different era, et cetera. But KD was really the first person who had a longitudinal career after this. So it's pretty remarkable. And now you see every player has come back after that. So, they've had good outcomes. Even Clay, you could say, had a great outcome afterwards. Yeah. And hopefully with Halliburton and Tatum and all these guys who are getting it, just with the way things are going, it's not going to be necessarily a career-ending injury. Although it's devastating because you're still not the same as what you were before. KD was set up, I think, good because he's more of a jump shooter. with a guy like Tatum or Halliburton who's more explosive, we'll wait and see kind of like what may happen with in terms of how their career pans out.
What was the thing that you found to be most surprising from your research?
Yeah, I think the two things, and, there's all this talk about load management and how much people play. And I think the thought was that this really was an injury, and it may still be, was due to like cumulative load. It's like you just get to like game 84, 85, you're in the playoffs and your Achilles just breaks down because of all this longitudinal load. But actually what it seemed to be more surprising was it's really about not maintaining a balance, right? So you're playing a certain number of minutes all season, and suddenly you jump up for this 10 to 15 game stretch. So it's really about kind of mini load management. It's like, maybe you should do what Thibodeau does and like play everyone lots of minutes so your body's used to it. Or if you're getting to like the third or fourth game and you're like up to like 40, 45 minutes, if you're playing 30, maybe you drop it back down. So I think it was interesting that it wasn't this narrative of too much. It was more about changing something acutely for a short period of time.
A spike.
Exactly, a spike. Yeah.
So the paper is called Short-Term Workload Patterns Before Achilles Tendon Rupture in NBA Players, a Descriptive Epidemiology Study. And one of the variables that you found to be significant, or at least something that raised your eyebrows in the data, was in the time period of 10 to 15 or 10 and 15 game samples before the Achilles tear, you did see that being a significant factor in terms of the difference of your minutes between the 10 to 15 game sample and the rest of the season. If you have a spike right before that Achilles tear, you were more likely to tear your Achilles compared to the control group of players who did not tear their Achilles. Is that fair to say? Or you're just looking at...
Yeah, we were just looking at the Achilles. And that's a big thing I think that needs to be kind of brought about the study, is that this was just, we took the Achilles players and we looked at them, right? We just saw this. So I think everyone's like, oh my God, this study wasn't designed well. This is just like, we're looking at this, we saw this trend, and we totally agree. There's more studies that need to be done. But hey, this is one variable that looks like it's different with these people when you control them within themselves. But yeah, the next phase would be, okay, do you go back and look at all the NBA players and see, okay, those who had a spike at a 10 to 15 time point during the season, did they have an increased injury risk as well too? So I think something that needs more studying, but by no means, there was no control, but that's the next level with all the other stuff that needs to be done. Yeah.
Well, so like the best example, I guess, if you want to put a name to it, I don't know if that's something you're comfortable doing or not, but in the paper, I was thinking in my head, Jason Tatum, because his season average a couple years ago was about 36 minutes per game. Right. And then 10 games sampled before he tore his Achilles in the playoffs. He went from 36 to 40 minutes per game, which is an increase of about, 10, 12% increase in his minutes per game. And it's interesting to me because you're right. You bring up Tom Thibodeau. He kind of gets criticized for being a guy who is running these guys into the ground, more likely for these major injuries to be occurring. And one strategy that we've seen in the load management, and I put that in Achilles parentheses, parentheses, was that in Odysseus, the Odyssey? In parentheses, I'm putting, or not even a parenthesis, those are apostrophes. God damn it. Air quotes. Air quotes in load management era. You see right before the playoffs, coaches oftentimes and medical staffs will say, hey, cut back on the minutes. We need to rest guys before the playoffs when we got to ramp up these minutes. And let's take a game off here and there. Like, hey, we're winning by 30. Let's take him out and cut his minutes down. And if what you're saying and finding in this research is something, then I kind of feel like, wait a minute, is ramping down right before the playoffs actually doing a disservice and raising your risk for injury? When we thought that was actually protecting players and being preventative, we actually might be causing undue risk for an Achilles tear, possibly.
Yeah, I think that's possible. Yeah, and I think it would be, I think obviously the main question is like, are we then avoiding other things, right? Like, are you not tearing your hamstring or something because of that? But I think in general, if you're looking at that, I think, professional athletes are so regimented, same time to go to sleep, same time to eat, all these things. And suddenly you're like, okay, we're going to change the variable that's the most inherent to what you do, which is how much you play. I mean, you talk to players, they go out at 7 minutes, they come back in at 3 minutes in the second quarter, and then suddenly they're totally thrown off. And what could that do? It can make that Achilles more overloaded, or which I think probably is that your mechanics change. So you're doing that step back, the thing that everyone's concerned about. Maybe you don't land as much, and maybe that extra 2 minutes makes you a little bit more fatigued. So I think there's something going on where you're not doing your normal routine, and it's leading to this catastrophic injury. So yeah, maybe we increase it up. And I think, I can't remember any of Thibodeau's players ever having an Achilles tear, just kind of thinking about it, going back to even Chicago and all those other teams. So maybe there's something about, maybe it's not the minutes he's playing, it's the consistency, right? It's like, you're going to play 42 minutes all season, I don't care.
Yeah.
And maybe then you're going to be like, hey, maybe we'll just play everyone 30. And even if we're losing, so I think it's really, I think it's more about the consistency than it is necessarily about, high or low. It's just, if you play 15, you play 15. Like, that's what you got to do. Yeah.
How far back did you guys look at as far as Achilles tears?
We're back to 2014. So it was about over the past decade or so. Yeah.
Because I'd be curious. One of the things I wonder is if you were able to go back and get more data and to look back earlier. We talk a lot about how players are getting more rest and there's more kind of science about workload and all that, but somehow the injuries seem to be more frequent and more devastating. And so one of the things I'm really wondering is, like, what was it about how they were in the 90s and the 80s and even the 2000s that made them less susceptible to these injuries through your findings of these recent ones? And so if I asked you to posit a guess, what would you say?
Yeah. Well, I'd say two things. One is, I think, in terms of the type of game that's played, we know we've seen 80s and 90s basketball. It's a lot more explosive. There's a lot more running. I mean, you've got bigger guys who are playing like guards. So I think just the speed and the pace and the agility of the game is so much more. So it's more strain on the body. I think that's one. And people always say, well, the 80s and 90s were physical. They were physical in a blunt force kind of way. Like, you were going to get hit hard, but you weren't explosive, which is the soft tissue injury part. I think number two, the type of player, and this is another area of research we look at, is the players who come into the league now have tons more mileage, I think, on them. This is kind of more just in general how their soft tissues are. Baxter Holmes wrote about this on ESPN, a while back. And these kids with AAU year round, like back in the 80s and 90s, you played basketball and you did nothing, right? Or you didn't really start playing until in college really seriously. So by the time you get these players in the league, their bodies are already broken down a little bit. And the fact that you've got a Tatum, you've got a Halliburton, you had even a KD, like, they're young compared to who was tearing Achilles, back in the 80s and 90s. It was like end of your career doing it. So I think they're coming in different and the game's more explosive, which is the perfect setup, I think, for this to happen.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Is there like an odometer for an Achilles? Can you tell how old someone's Achilles is by how much wear and tear they've had on it?
Yeah, I mean, there are some things to look at, like looking at ultrasound to see, like, what does your Achilles look like at the beginning of the season? And, I think that it's one of those things where, medical staff do everything, especially with NBA players. There's so few people you're drafting. It's not like NFL where, you're getting, 40 people into camp. And that may be one thing that I think teams may start doing is, like, let's look at your Achilles health, right? Like, are we looking at ultrasound of your Achilles? Are we getting MRIs to look at, is there degeneration in there? Like, what's the load on there? So I do think that it is something that teams are looking more seriously at, because, not the past year, but the year before, that was a lot of Achilles tears. And when it happens to star players, that's problematic. And, it's changed the face of the Celtics and who's on that team and all this other stuff. So it definitely is something that can mean millions of dollars for a franchise beyond just that individual player's salary.
What, from imaging, what does it look like? An Achilles that, if you as a medical professional, you look at the image, you're like, oh, that Achilles does not look good. What does that actually look like?
Yeah, so you're going to see a lot of inflammation in there. So there's just stuff that's just like irritated and aggravated. I mean, we all have played sports, like that aggravated Achilles that's constantly there. You can see sometimes partial tearing in it. You can see little tears in there. One of the signs of like a really kind of degenerative tendon is you see calcium deposits. So a lot of things that you can tell that says, hey, there's a lot of wear on this. Like, potentially this may be an issue down the road. And they do it for players in terms of their knee. They do it for other parts of the body. But maybe soft tissue is where the next level needs to go, because the game's different now. It's much more explosive and movement based. So you got to address these things really early on.
Yeah, there's as much as you did have these positive, significant factors that came up, some of the things you put in the machine and it spit out that they weren't significant. Yeah. You looked at a lot of different variables that people talk about, specialization, what kind of sports they played in high school. You looked at age, the position of the players. Can you run through all the different variables and factors that you studied and that they actually may be interesting that they didn't pop up as significant variables?
Yeah, I think, the biggest one was obviously the cumulative workload, like how much they were, how much distance they were running, how much they moved during the course of a season, age, position, whether they were multi or single sport athletes in high school, going to that load, concept of it. Looking at did it have anything to do with back-to-backs, like all these things we talk about. So I think it was very interesting that, the comment is like, well, maybe there's other factors that go into it. I think we looked at a lot of the other typical factors that we think of when we think of load and other things. But I definitely think the thing that was the strongest was the spike in time when you rule out all the other stuff. So I think we spit everything in, and this was the only thing that got spit back out. And I think it's something to kind of really, kind of consider that this isn't just some sort of like random noise that we found. It makes logical sense, right? Like you're playing more. All those other things that could be confounders are not in there. And now the main question for the future is it just in Achilles ruptures? Are there other people able to do it? And then the next question would be, what's specific about these 19 players that they weren't able to do it? Because everything else has kind of been weeded out. Yeah.
So if I'm a genie, I come down and I said, Doc, I find your research to be fabulous. You know what? I'm going to gift you with all available data up to, including, but not necessarily just limited to, wearable tech data that measures load and stress and all that stuff. What information would you want in order to make your research even stronger?
Yeah, so I would want to know, I'd like to see what's happening in game in terms of their load, like what's happening to their, muscle metrics and thing, right before that tear happens. Are they showing more fatigue? Has something been happening over that past 5 to 10 games that indicates that, hey, you're at risk, right? It's like a glucose monitor. Your blood sugar is going down. You got to this is going to be a risk. That would be number one. Number two, I think looking at the mechanics, that's the big thing. Is there something that's going on in terms of the way they're landing that's different, maybe during this period of time than before? So mechanical markers, looking for step backs and things like that. And then I think the third thing is just looking at everybody else, right? Like, let's look at when everyone else's playing time increases, and are they getting hamstring injuries? Are they getting, calf injuries? Is it just the spike is a problem for everything, not just for Achilles ruptures? Or is there something specific about Achilles ruptures? So that would be it. And then the fourth I would say is, do we have, some sort of imaging of their Achilles, what it looks like at the beginning of the season, right? Because that probably is where a lot of this is that unless you're getting screening MRIs on people, like at the beginning of the season, at the end of the season, to see what happens to their Achilles, you can always make the argument that there was something inherently wrong with them, and these are just 19 unlucky players, right? But if you can see the structure and you can see that throughout the season starting to get worse and worse, and then suddenly like you spike and then everything starts tearing away, that's what I would look at. But that all being said, when you start getting younger players tear their Achilles, that's where it just is very confusing, right? Katie, maybe 33, 34-year-old makes sense, but Tatum and Halliburton, they're just not that group that you think of when you're tearing your Achilles.
Stream the biggest moments in sports live on Fox One. The biggest names, the biggest games, the biggest matchups. Watch live or catch up on your schedule. At home or on the go, never miss a moment. All on Fox One. Stream now.
I'm not giving up. I am selling the building.
The final season of FX's The Bear.
The restaurant is flooded.
Everything's either going to be okay. No, stop!
Or not.
We are outgunned and we are outmanned, but we have each other.
FX's The Bear, the final season. All episodes now streaming on Disney+.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.
One of the things you didn't list in that Genie request form that Amin laid out for you is abolishing the 3-point shot. So the step back move or the false step and try to explode toward the paint. A lot of these guys, Jason Tatum, Damian Lillard, Tyrese Halliburton, they use that 3-point shot on the hard closeout, and then they go burst forward far away from the basket so they can get a lot of velocity towards the rim area. Would you say that the game itself needs to be examined as a reason why these Achilles ruptures are happening?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think, and if you look at how these players are rupturing it as well, too, like you look at the 80s and 90s, it was on the explosive maneuver. It was like you're going up to dunk, something like that happens. Here it's happening in a relatively what appears to like the common fan, just like a normal step back, right? So I definitely do think that, if this is something that you continue to see these trends and you have to look at, okay, are we going to change or create rules where you can't do that? I know that's hard, but there are ways that you can still be effective in creating space for a three that doesn't involve that step back. And I think a lot of people are noticing that now, but in the middle of a game, if someone's been doing that their entire life, it's hard to say, hey, don't do that, because that's how you're going to generate the space you need to shoot the three. It's like the Jordan fadeaway, right? You twist, you fade away, and you create space. You can't be like, hey, you might hurt your knee, don't do that. So it's always, how do you change the emphasis on the 3-point game? And maybe that's just a different kind of player coming in the league now where, okay, we're going to go back to the paint. You can go back to the 90s as opposed to relying on the 3-point shot. Yeah.
How many of the 19 ruptured their Achilles on a step back?
That I don't know off the top of my head. That's something that we have to look at. Yeah.
So, because I think one thing that I'm thinking about is this study was done 2013-14, did you say?
Yeah, 2013-14, yeah.
The NBA came out with a statement saying, hey, we saw the paper. This is to Mike Vorkunov at the New York Times. When he wrote about it, he got a quote from the NBA that said they saw some shortcomings in the methodology, their opinion, in the study. And they said, looking at the data from 2012-2013 season on to present, we didn't find any, well, let me just quote them so I don't get an angry phone call. Our own extensive review of league data to date, conducted with independent epidemiologists and consultants. We all know about independent. We've learned this through the Kawhi Leonard investigation, what that means. Conducted with independent epidemiologists and consultants, spanned the 2012-2013 season to the present, and found no relationship between Achilles tendon injuries and minutes played before the injury. We remain committed to advancing research that informs player health, performance, and injury prevention. So in that, they didn't specify in the 10 to 15 game range.
Yeah.
They didn't specify longitudinal minutes. They just said minutes played before injury. That could mean a lot of different things. So what did you make of the NBA's rebuttal? And have you talked to the NBA or any of the folks on that panel, the injury prevention panel? And what would you like to open up the conversation to?
Yeah, no one's reached out to me or talked to them. That was my first time, once again, seeing that. I agree that the statement probably is true in a general sense. They potentially looked at minutes played or, and just looked at, hey, they all played a lot of minutes and there wasn't any kind of correlation. We had a similar thing happen. We published a study for NFL grass versus turf where, the NFL came back and said, hey, our data shows this. I mean, I think from a scientific perspective, then if there is this data, then it needs to be published, right? Put it out there and let us all analyze it. And I'm more than willing to be like, look, I was wrong. But I think that if there really is all this data, then it's imperative to publish it in a scientific way. So that's number one, publish the data. And then I think number two is that if I had everyone in a room, I'd say, look, this is something we found. Let's look at it further, right? I'm a physician, but I'm also an NBA fan. No one wants to see NBA players get their Achilles torn, right? So if there is something we can do that can help prevent this injury, let's do it. Let's look at all these factors. Let's look at the step back. Let's look at, how much what their, Achilles look like at the beginning of the season. Let's look at, all these different various factors, and let's come up with something that can help prevent this from happening. And it's just because we're looking at it doesn't mean we're anti-load management. I just want to know the answer to why these people are getting injured. And I understand the NBA wants their players to play. Fans want their players to play. I don't want to see someone tear their Achilles. But if like we make a little shift in terms of like how they're playing to prevent them from getting injured, then I think let's look at it, right? So this paper is just something that we saw that's interesting, that makes sense. Now let's examine it further rather than saying, no, there's no correlation there. Right? Yeah. This is we found it. It's there, right? Now, are there flaws in the methodology, which we listed 3 paragraphs of methodological flaws in our paper, which no one seems to, kind of notice? Like, we know that this isn't ideal paper. It's just like, it's like we sat at the playground and we watched people for 20 days and we saw some stuff, right? Now we're going to tell people about it. Now let's look at it a little bit more further. So I think that's really the key. It's like, let's study this. Let's all work together and look at this with the interest of the player in mind, not just necessarily, thinking about what does this mean in terms of fans coming in load management? Because it's not a load management issue. It's about monitoring minutes in a short period of time, which means the players are still playing. It just means that maybe you're playing them differently, or maybe you're actually going to play them more during the season. So you get you'll actually see the stars more. So it could work the other way. It could be in benefit of the NBA. It's not load management. You're not letting
it's the opposite.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Doc, that's the thing. I'm crazy. I'm like, he's like looking through the findings. I'm like, this actually kind of supports the claim that, hey, it's not the players have too much, because that's been the NBA kind of mantra over the last couple of years. Basically, when Joe Dumars was there, was that this load management there's no correlation between load management and
injuries
and injuries.
Right.
And this paper, the findings, at least in this particular injury of the occurrences that have happened since the 2013-2014 season, it would suggest exactly what you just said. These guys should be playing more. Don't rest them. Well, like what Tom said, don't do hey, we're coming into the playoffs, let's take it light, let's sit games, let's play less minutes, because that actually increases the risk factor, which leads me to my next question. How does taking games off versus just going lighter within a game, how did that impact the findings?
Yeah, so we didn't specifically look at that per se, but I do think from a methodology perspective, I do think that there's something about going lighter in a game that's probably more protective than taking the game off, is because you're kind of stressing. It's kind of that stress perspective. It's like you're driving the car every day just to kind of keep the battery kind of going. Same sort of thing. You're still there. So maybe it means as you're heading into the postseason, let's say you've got the 1 or 2 seed and it's not going to change anything. You're playing your guys 25, 30 minutes, but maybe you're doing it in times when the score's up or it's not as important. So you're keeping that body going, as opposed to, it's kind of like, I use the example, it's like not stretching. You go from like sitting down to like just boom, you're going to go, right? So this increased workload is a lot. And, people say, well, it's only 2 minutes. It was only 3 minutes. Like, it's such a small amount. But the way this game is played right now, 2 to 3 minutes in terms of that 10 to 15 minute increase, it's a lot. A lot happens in 2 to 3 minutes of basketball, which to the common person is like, well, that's not why is that going to tear your Achilles? Well, look what they're doing out there. Some of them are running full speed, jumping and cutting, for almost a half mile in that period of time.
Yeah, it's like 10 to 15 ballistic actions in 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah.
I wonder, the odometers are racking up, the Achilles are tearing earlier, but we're also getting better at repairing them.
Yeah.
And I wonder where you think, let's say the Achilles tear frequency does not continue to increase at the rate that it has. If it stays around the same, if we're like 10 years from now, do you see it being less impactful of an injury than it is right now?
I think at least in the short term, when you look at the way, kind of the big thing that's happened surgically is that there are ways to fix it now that allow you to rehab more aggressively and early. So it really wasn't necessarily the Achilles rupture per se that was career ending for people. But in the past, it was like you tore your Achilles, you did like nothing. You like barely did any rehab, and you got so weak, so stiff that you could never get back to playing the NBA. And now it's like, hey, we're fixing these stronger so we can start doing stuff a lot earlier. So it allows you to get back. So I think that, at least in the short term, I think that it won't necessarily be as devastating because you don't get that secondary, like, okay, you just haven't played in a year and a half and done nothing. You just can't get back. I don't know what the long-term issue is going to be, right? Like, are we going to see these players who tear their Achilles at 24, 25 are they then going to have some other devastating injury when they're 31 or 32? So I think that long-term question, is kind of the bigger one, is like, is your Achilles tearing the first sign of like something bigger is going on in terms of load or how your body is or how much you're playing that can then lead to something else? But in the short term, we've seen it. We've seen it with KD. We talked about Clay. Like, these people have gotten back, and it's not easy. We just say, oh, they're back playing, not a big deal. Like, there are very few people in the entire world who play NBA basketball. And for you to have a devastating injury and then be back playing well is pretty damn remarkable. So I think that the fact that people are doing that really speaks to like how, Achilles stuff has changed a lot compared to, 15, 20 years ago.
We talked a lot about KD and the fact that he has played so well after his Achilles tear. What about before the Achilles tear? Okay, so he came back from a calf strain and returned to play in the finals, and it was pretty scary that like, whoa, he's coming back in the middle of the finals in Toronto. And I remember the air in the room at the arena. I was there for that. It just was like, oh my God, he came back. He was playing so well, and then boom, it's over. I wrote the story earlier this season for Yahoo Sports, was the idea that the two scariest words in the NBA are calf strain because of the fear of tearing an Achilles. In your study of the 19 players that ruptured their Achilles in the NBA since 2013, 2014, how many of them had a calf issue or a calf strain before that? And was that a factor in whether they, was there any difference between those who had a calf strain and those who did not?
Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't remember the exact number, but it was actually not a large number of them that had calf strains. And there wasn't necessarily an association with that, with the Achilles injury. And if you look at it kind of longitudinally, like across all stuff, there's not that definitive tear, kind of almost connection between calf and Achilles, but the calf is a very large complex, right? So sometimes calf is like, it's more in the muscle, right? But then if you kind of get down to that lower level where it's like kind of where the muscle turns into tendon, that's still called a calf. Those are the ones I get more worried about. And that's some of the limitations that we have with public database kind of studies, is that they list it as a calf, right?
Yeah.
A calf is different, right? So they don't say like, oh, this is at the musculotendinous junction, right? And then it's like, oh, that's a risk factor. So I do think that and this is where the NBA comes in, right? In terms of how they're doing it, like if they have the exact definition and MRI diagnoses of these people who had calf issues, and then you could look to see, is that a risk factor for an Achilles? Then that could be the answer. So I do think there probably is some correlation. It has to. It's anatomic sense. Something above it's a little bit injured, something else can get more pressure. But is it so far above that it's just like a high calf and it means nothing, as opposed to this is down low and this is pretty close to your Achilles, but we're calling it a calf. And the injury reporting, as long as you're in the right anatomic area, like it's fine, right? But it could actually be a correlation. It's just being reported as calf in general.
What was the definition of spike in minutes? Like, what was the percentage leap that took it from the gray area to the red zone?
Yeah, we were looking for a certain percentage of it. So I think when we look at our data, I have to look at the exact number. It was a certain percentage of spike that was significant. And we part of the reason we wanted to look at 10 to 15 games was that there was such a significant, like when you look at 3, 4, 5 games, it's really hard to quantify. Like a spike in like you have a game or something like that. When you get to 10 to 15, it's a pattern as well too.
Right.
And then you're using these players to see like, okay, well, let's look at kind of previous parts of the, season where they're doing that versus, this kind of like cluster right there. And I think the interesting thing is that, we think about, when these happen, we saw a lot of these also happen early in the season too, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not just necessarily like load and wear and tear, and then it just happens in the playoffs. You see it early. So you're seeing that, increase where it's statistically significant, where you're looking at all their minutes and you're like, okay, even though the difference is 2 minutes, like they're playing a lot more compared to their other 10 to 15 game cohorts. So you're really looking at kind of cohorts throughout the season where there's actually like more than just a minute over there when you're doing the stats.
Yeah, there's so I have it here. There's 3 instances of the 19 where you saw a calf injury beforehand.
Yeah.
But there was 8. The N was 8 for no injuries reported. And again, it's a binary thing a lot of times where we know that it's not actually binary, he's not on the injury report, so he must be in perfect health. That's not really the case. And so you don't want to lean too much into that, make too much of that reporting. And that's another thing that I think Amin Genie comes around and says, hey, Doc, what's one thing you would like to see going forward? We've heard this from a bunch of doctors that we've talked to, injury experts like Jeff Stotts and Dr. Brian Soderer. Yeah. It's like, hey, it's really important that we get a lot more specific and granular with our injury reports, because that would make everything so much easier and get the education and the specificity just way up.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, I think it's like, we feel great when, Shams reports it's a grade 2. I'm like, oh, wow, they talked about the grading, but it's like, it's so much more, detailed than that. It's like, okay, where is it? Like, what's the MRI? What's the rehab? Like, obviously there's HIPAA and all those other things. But I think that as teams kind of get, kind of more detailed about what they're reporting, then I think that, yeah, maybe they have their team doc talk about it if the player is okay with it. And I think that really, more than anything else, I think it helps the fan understand it. I think it helps their carryovers to like weekend warriors, to regular people. It's like, hey, maybe this data can help prevent other injuries as well, too. So I do agree. The more specific you get with it, the more people can analyze it. And the more then it's like, it's easy for me in clinic to be like, look, these NBA players had grade 2, MCL strains with the meniscus tear, and then this is what happened to them. So this is what we're going to do to you. It's you kind of have that ability to use what everyone's looking at as an example. So I think there's a lot of power that all these professional sport leagues can be at with these specific informations, as long as the players are on board with it and agents. And, you obviously want to respect, their medical privacy as well, too.
It's funny because even when you were talking earlier about the NBA's findings and how they've got their stuff close to the vest and look at your stuff and like, no, that ain't it. It's like the incentive structure isn't there to be open and collaborative on this, not from the league, not from the teams individually, not from the players individually, because you can make an argument as a player, even though this information and this data could help our understanding greatly. For me in the micro, this might be used against me in negotiation or in any sort of kind of opportunity where my compensation is coming up. Right. And I think that's the hardest part about all this is I think what you working on is fascinating and could help so many people if we just came at this with the spirit of let's just try and be all smarter about this rather than, I got to guard this information.
Right, exactly. And that's where I think, if the NBA were, and obviously I'm not part of their process, but if they were to even just like look at these things and like, you're not naming individual players, you're like, we have this data, let's like put it out there, right? And let's let people analyze it. I think that's great. And yeah, I know it goes back to what we talked about. It is about, money, shots, and chasing titles, right? So for a player, I understand, like no one wants to hear that someone's got a degenerative knee issue because that's going to mean like, what's your next contract going to be or things like that. And, just the way the medical process works, like very rarely do you see an NBA trade besides, every now and then get rescinded because it's some medical thing, right? But if it's out there in the media all the time, like so-and-so has this problem, yeah, that's going to impact perceived value and things like that. So I agree. It's hard at the individual level, but I think these teams and the NBA, if they have the data, if they're collecting it, then I think it can help them and publish it. I think that's the key thing. Yeah.
Nirav, can you give me a sense of the medical miracle that Klay Thompson is, like as a Warriors fan?
Yeah.
What he's been through and what he's done since he had his injuries. Can you put in perspective for us, like from a surgical standpoint, what Klay Thompson has done?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was like 952 days away from a game. So I think beyond the fact that he had 2 kind of severe injuries, they were back to back, to be that far away from what you do on that NBA level for that period of time, it's pretty remarkable that not only was he able to mentally get back there, but then work his way back to playing. And we talk about consistency and kind of like, even minutes leading to injury. Can you imagine you haven't played at an NBA speed or level for almost 3 years, and then suddenly you're able to get back off of 2 injuries, which would affect confidence. And the first thing he did when he came back was dunk, right? Like, talk about the maneuver that's going to stress your Achilles and your ACL. It's pretty remarkable. So I think it speaks a lot to his medical kind of his mental toughness. It speaks a lot to how everything's kind of progressed over the past several years. But yeah, people have a tendency to be like, oh, Klay, he's not the same he was. I'm like, this guy went through this crazy injury and is back playing at the NBA level, and contributing, which is pretty remarkable given how much you depend on your Achilles and your ACL to play basketball. So it's pretty remarkable that he was able to do it, and speaks a lot to the rehab and everything in terms of getting him back to that level. And he's been,
would you trade pods for him now?
Oh God, don't have. Pods as a Warrior fan is stepping into a landmine. So, I mean, I'm all about let's bring everyone back. Let's bring Clay back. Let's bring Katie back too. So then I can tweet at him more. It's just it'll be fun. It'll be fun. But yeah, Pods. I'll say this: Pods isn't that bad. He's actually pretty good. I think it's just his comments about Curry, like when he said, which it wasn't what he was saying, but it got blown up. Like he didn't say he wanted to be the next Steph Curry, but it's just, it's hard.
He's going to be better.
Yeah.
I don't want to be next Steph Curry.
He's consistently one of our best players, and that's a little bit about the roster, but he's a solid NBA player. But yeah.
Before we let you go, any predictions on the Warriors this season?
I think the team's going to start out kind of slow. And I think when they get Butler and Moody back, I think there's going to be a little bit of a spike, but it's age. I think it's just hard to play. They're going to have to do the same thing. They're going to get through 82 games. They're going to have to make a rush for the playoffs, and it's going to be hard. So if the NBA was a World Cup, I'd take them with the possibility to win. You're playing 10 games. You got an opportunity to get through the season, then make it through the playoffs against all these young teams. It's going to be hard. So I'm just going to enjoy it. Yeah.
Doc, we have the answer. I'm going to just tell Steve Kerr, just play everybody a shit ton of minutes. Give them no rest.
Consistently.
Yeah.
And Rob said so.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we started a new podcast. So Andy and Sam have light years.
Yeah.
Maybe rings, money, and shots.
Yeah, exactly. Oh. That's a perfect name. And I'll invite Katie on to be the first guest. There you go. It would be...
That'd be amazing. So where can people interact with you? I know Katie already knows, but the rest of the Illumination out there, how can they interact with you and learn more about, the medical side of sports?
Yeah, so I'm most active on X. It's at Dr. Neerav Pandya. Just type in my name. And then on Threads, it's at Dr. NK Pandya. But yeah, I'm kind of posting stuff about injury. It's a passion of mine. Do research about it. And occasionally I'll throw bad, NBA takes out there that, NBA players may look at. So there you go.
Short-term workload patterns before Achilles tendon rupture in NBA players, a descriptive epidemiology study. Thank you so much, and appreciate you spending some time, especially just coming out of the operating table. Thank you. Really appreciate that.
No problem.
Again, I'm imagining like JFK, ask not what your country could do for you, ask what you could do for your country. Is a direct response to Dr. Pandya saying, hey man, what can this country do for me? And he just answers it like this quote goes crazy. He's like, yeah, you know who he's talking to, right? Me.
I'm not giving up. I am selling the building.
The final season of FX's The Bear.
The restaurant is flooded.
Everything's either going to be okay.
Or not.
We are outgunned and we are outmanned, but we have each other.
FX's The Bear, the final season. All episodes now streaming on Disney+.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.